Armin Malik never imagined his life would fall apart just before his 27th birthday. He wasn't born into wealth. He wasn't born with incredible talent. And he certainly wasn't born lucky. But the one thing he always believed he had was time. Time to fix his mistakes. Time to become successful. Time to finally chase the dreams he kept hidden deep inside his heart. But life, as it often does, had a completely different plan for him. Armin lived in a small, cramped apartment in New Jersey. His father worked tirelessly in a restaurant back in Bangladesh, while his mother stitched clothes at home just to make ends meet. Armin had come to the United States with a single powerful belief that he would be the one to change everything for his family. Instead, he found himself trapped, working long, grueling shifts at a local convenience store for minimum wage. He was constantly juggling bills, barely staying afloat, and silently drowning in a sea of self-doubt. Then, on a cold morning in February, everything shattered. Armin lost his job. It was over a mistake he didn't even make. A customer had complained about another employee, but the manager, looking for an easy target, blamed Armin. After 3 long years of loyal, hard work, he was simply told, "We don't need you anymore." He stepped out of the store and into the freezing air, his last paycheck clutched in his hand, his future completely crushed. He had only $487 left. Rent was due in 6 days, and he had no backup plan. No safety net, nothing. That night, he sat on the cold floor of his apartment. The lights were off. The heater was broken. He was shivering, not just from the cold, but from pure, paralyzing fear. Tears started to stream down his face as he whispered to the empty room, "Why does this always happen to me?" He wasn't crying because he was weak. He was crying because he was exhausted. He was tired of trying so hard. He was tired of failing again and again. Most of all, he was tired of pretending to everyone, especially himself, that he was okay. At 2:14 in the morning, his phone buzzed. It was a message from his father on WhatsApp. It read, "Son, we are so proud of you. You are doing your best. Better days will come." Armin just stared at the screen. He hadn't told his father he'd lost his job. He couldn't bear the thought of disappointing him. But that simple, heartfelt message did something profound. It broke something inside him. And at the same time, it awakened something else, something fierce and powerful. He wiped away his tears and said out loud to the darkness, "If I don't change now, I never will." He grabbed a dusty notebook and a pen and wrote down one single sentence. "I refuse to give up." And that, right there, was the beginning. It wasn't the beginning of success. It wasn't the beginning of wealth or glory. It was the beginning of responsibility, the raw, honest acceptance that no one was coming to save him. If he wanted a different life, he had to be the one to build it, brick by brick. The very next morning, Armin walked to the public library. He couldn't afford to buy a coffee at a cafe, but the library was warm and it was free. He sat down at a computer and started searching. How to restart life from zero. How to build habits that stick. How to escape the cycle of failure, success stories of ordinary people. He didn't have internet at home, so he devoured every article, every blog post, every piece of information he could find. He started writing down plans. He wrote down goals, both big and small. He wrote down the dreams he had buried so deep under layers of fear and disappointment. Then, one quote from a book he was reading hit him so hard he just froze. It said, "When nothing is left, everything becomes possible." In that moment, Armin realized he possessed something incredibly powerful. He had absolutely nothing to lose. A few days later, as he was leaving the library, he met an older man named Mr. Whitaker. He was a retired psychologist who spent his afternoons reading in the very same corner every single day. The old man looked up from his book and said, "Son, you read with a certain kind of hunger. That's rare to see these days." Armin smiled shyly. "I'm just trying to change my life, sir." Mr. Whitaker nodded slowly, a knowing look in his eyes. "Then learn this," he said. "Success does not start with opportunity. It starts with discipline." Armin listened, captivated. The old man continued, his voice calm but firm. "You don't rise to the occasion because you feel ready. You rise because you refuse to remain where you are." Those words lit a fire in Armin's heart. He walked home that day with a sense of determination he had never felt in his entire life. He decided right then and there to build the 3 unbreakable habits that Mr. Whitaker had taught him. First, wake up early, even when you desperately don't want to. Second, study one new skill every single day, even if it's just for 30 minutes. And third, do one difficult thing every day, something that pushes you out of your comfort zone. And so, he began. It wasn't perfect. It was slow. It was clumsy. But the most important thing was, he began. For the first time in years, Armin felt truly alive. He wasn't successful yet. He wasn't rich. He wasn't fixed. But he was changing from the inside out. The story of what happened next is a journey of struggle and triumph. This is his story, his failure, his rise, his heartbreak, his incredible comeback, his life-changing breakthrough, and the detailed account of how he transformed himself from a broke, heartbroken immigrant into a man who built his very own company from the ground up. Thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe to see how Armin's journey unfolds.